NZD elections last week, monstrous moves, okay? We had a position on. Let's roll the intro, let's talk about it. Traders, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Sunday market breakdown. It's your boy Cleveland. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. This is week 4. It's going to be week 4 of a synopsis of what we're looking for, October week 4, and then we'll be moving over into month 2, Q4, all right? Then after that, folks, it'll be 2017, okay? This year, it flew by, all right? We'll have an end of year, we'll have a recap later on, so make sure you're subscribed to see that. And other than that, folks, this stuff, it happens pretty quick, right? NZD, it ripped. I think it was on Wednesday last week, okay? So if you know about these videos here, if you know about the analysis, then you'll be able to take advantage of it. So make sure you're subscribed, all right? And like the video for your boy. Appreciate it. So I wasn't looking for really too much fundamentally last week for the Euro or for the US, okay? We had a barrage of data coming out for the Euro and the US all throughout the early weeks and early days of October, okay? So one thing that did happen in October was this New Zealand election. We're going to talk a little bit about that and go deep into the fundamentals during high impact, but we're going to save most of the technicals and stay on technicals here with the breakdowns, all right? And so we had a trade idea. We had a trade idea for this USD, NZD, and we had a trade idea in the community for the Euro NZD, okay? Called out by Kyler, by the way, okay? I'm not going to... Kyler showed me the Euro NZD and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is beautiful, nice retest on structure. Let's roll the footy on that, and we'll roll the footy on the USD NZD. And currently right now, you're sitting right at the 61.8% retracement of this entire extension, which is a pretty decent pullback level, right? So if markets want to retrace a bit, then you might have that start happening up here in this level. So, you know, if you want to get in on the some type of intraday buy type situation, well then yeah, maybe there's going to be something there. But in terms of a swing trading scenario, I'd wait it out and wait to see what markets do. Sure, I would need structure to form a little bit better, maybe up here at this high, and then that structure formation could probably give us a decent entry. Right, yeah, no, I'm liking it. Looks like we could probably break outside of that 23.6 back up into structure at least. It just depends on what, depends on the outcome of the election, but it definitely looks good technically. So if we can hang around this base and at least make this our structural low, any kind of price action outside of this level could lead us back up into at least this high, so at least the 61.8, and then we'll see how things can run, and maybe we'll consolidate in that. So we're using our mean reversion strategy, okay, to take advantage of those moves. We need a nice extension, and then we like that consolidation. We were assuming a break of that consolidation. I wasn't really, you know, proclamating any kind of U.S. strength. It was just that looking at the NZD USD, we already pulled up from that massive extension from 2 weeks ago, where we actually used the same mean reversion strategy. I mean, this thing really allows you to catch the moves up, catch the moves back down, blah, blah, blah. But I was not expecting a complete break of the structural low there, and that's exactly what we got. Here's a screenshot of where NZD is at right now. And another great opportunity was that Euro NZD. It was the same scenario, right? A massive extension coming back down, hitting back off on that structural low. NZD was really coiling down here at that low, and then pop, you get a run higher, okay? So, man, if you are exposed in these markets, okay, you have a great potential of actually being able to execute. So that's why it's good to understand that trading really isn't always about, you know, being this super intelligent, fundamental and technical analyst. A lot of times it's just about being there, all right? Just about sitting down, being at your desk, doing the analysis, and actually running the business, right? Actually being able to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves, because those are pretty clear cut. Okay, our strategy is pretty clear cut. We know exactly what we're looking for. Again, if you're sitting down, if you're actually at your charts, you'll be able to do that too. Okay, so we had a couple other trade ideas. We had a GBP AUD trade idea as well. That one didn't work out so well. Check this out. And if we get the GBP weakness, we'll get a crack underneath this 68.11. So 68 lows, maybe we can come back down into the, wow, oof. I'm not saying we can come back down into the 63s, but maybe we'll come and hit off on maybe the 66s. So that GBP AUD did pull back, and actually pulled back to the 38.2, and then it ran back up into structure. Okay, here's a screenshot there. So I actually did take an L in that position, but then we also had a USD JPY. Looks like we're just rolling the tape on all the trade ideas. Check out the USD JPY. Looking at it on a weekly, you know, boom, you might be in another scenario where US weakness will play out here, folks, and this might be one of the best places to play it here, right? So to give you guys a general idea, because we're all over the place here, I want to show you guys the dollar index. Here's a screenshot, and we're still underneath that 23.6. Okay, so about 3 weeks ago we pulled up, and we actually had, again, we had that a massive amount of US strength coming in, and we actually hit off right at that 23.6. But 2 weeks ago we pulled back down onto that structure, and last week all we had was a pullback, right? So we were resting on that structure and we sustained. So that's kind of a good thing, right? So right now I'm kind of feeling, okay, well, if we can sustain this level here where we're just consolidating, we can eventually break out of this 23.6 and actually have that pullback up into that 38.2 where I was hoping these markets ended up by the end of 2017. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. All right, that's what I'm looking for. I don't know if it's going to happen fundamentally. I don't know if it's going to happen, based off of the technicals. But at the end of the day, it still looks good, and I'm still hoping that this U.S. dollar can maintain that low. Here's the dollar index again. I want us to maintain this low of the structural formation in 2017 and break higher. Okay, because I live in the U.S. Okay, I would like to have markets not capitulate. All right, so that's what we're looking like this week. Okay, I'm going to pull over to the charts, and I do have some structural formations that I like. I do, but things are getting a little bit complicated, right? There's this in between of, okay, well, is the U.S. going to execute? Is Draghi going to execute on the stimulus? What's going to happen? But I want you to notice when markets are kind of, swaying back and forth and there really isn't that strong conviction, it's kind of harder to make money, right? This is the change in market conditions. Things might be a little bit more consolidated, okay? So understand that you may have to acclimate and you might be using a more of a pullback style trading methodology unless you're playing in something like the US dollar with a pair that maybe has a little bit stronger sentiment behind it, right? That maybe something like the NZD, for example, right? That's somewhat capitulated based off of the election news. We'll talk about that tomorrow, all right? So folks, let's see what we got. All right, let's see what we got. Let's pull over to the charts. I'm really liking some of the structures here. You guys want to make sure you're subscribed, okay? Please subscribe. I want you guys to get this information quick so it can be helpful to you. And if you enjoy the content, all right, like the video for me, all right? I really appreciate it. Let's pull over to the charts, all right? All right, guys, what's going on? Let's pull over into these charts. We'll start off over here with this Euro-USD. And currently, man, I'm looking at this Euro-U, and it's stuck, right? It is consolidated. We're still stuck within that range that we were hanging out in a couple of weeks back, I guess really around a month or so back. So we weren't able to penetrate 19 flat last week, and we weren't able to break this low. We weren't able to break this low either at 17 flat. So we're sitting around here in this 200 pip range. Pretty interesting predicament for this Euro-U to be in, right? So if we pull up the weekly, just to kind of give us an idea as to how far this market has pulled back, you guys will see that we're still sitting right there at that 23.6, right? So a very, very accelerated move still, okay, still on this Euro-U, right? So currently right now it's just about how this yearly close is going to be, right? What this monthly close is going to look like. Currently, we're really just kind of sitting right where we've left off, right? It's somewhat of a doji at the moment. In the next, I guess we have maybe around 10 or so days left. Where is this market going to be? Okay, the trading days, maybe a little less trading days actually. So where's this market going to be, right? So are we going to be able to break this low and come back down and sit on this 38.2, or are we going to stay stuck? Or are we going to stay consolidated? Because if that is the case, then we're looking for a buy, right? Then we're looking for a buy back up inside of this structure here. And I don't hate that. I really don't hate that. I hate the fact that we'd be going against this US dollar. If I show you guys this dollar index, I do hate the fact that we'd be going against the US dollar here. As you can see, we're still underneath this 23.6. Again, very accelerated move. But as we know, the euro is 60% of the US dollar in terms of its weight. So it's going to look fairly similar to the euro. But again, here's that same scenario, guys. We're still stuck again in the, I guess, the inverse channel there. But we're just still hanging around here. So if we see a pop here this week, then we're going to get a little bit more of a sell-off over there on that Euro-U. Right now, we're sitting around in the 1770s. And if that thing wants to pull back a bit, typing up all the wrong stuff. If that thing wants to pull back a bit, folks, we can definitely come back down into these 17 flats and then maybe edge outside of the 17 flats. So if the sell is there, where do we sell? All right, when do we get in on the sell? Do we take the breakout? I don't hate the breakout. I mean, at this point, market's being consolidated at this low. My stops, it seems like it would probably go into the high 18s. Maybe we get a new structural low down here. Maybe markets pull all the way back down to the base here, okay? And then maybe we have one more test at the $18s and then we break the low. That means I would have a 100 pip stop. I'm just rationalizing it in terms of a 100 pip stop because if we break this low and we head down into the 38.2, it is a 250 pip move, but our stops will be right here at 50 pips. So it's a 1 to 1.5 risk reward ratio, close to that, and it's not horrible, right? But again, if you want to look for something a little bit better, we would need a new structure to form if you want to cop that sell real quick, okay? So this is what our daily is looking like. If you want to execute on the buy, Then there's a couple other things. There's two things that you got to worry about. Okay, and those two things are here, right? So here is a place where markets, if they break, they'll edge lower, and obviously, if markets break, they'll edge lower. So you have two areas where I'd be somewhat risk adverse, where I'd say to myself, "Oh shit, all right, I don't really know if I want this thing to push sell side anymore," and I would liquidate the position, right? So technically, basically, what I'm saying is, if you want to execute on the buy, this is a good place to do it. This is a good place to do it. You have a pretty tight margin of error here when it comes to your stop to entry. If I draw it up. Honestly, anything outside of this, it's probably going to retest this low there. So if you want to find that buy, hopefully we can get just markets to consolidate right here at this level and then push back higher. Okay. So as for a sell right now, guys, I would, for me, I would really want this market to push outside of this 17 flat. I would take the 60 pip haircut in terms of, me not getting in right now at 1760. I just don't know how markets are going to react right here at this level. So it'd be nice to see markets potentially consolidate at this level and then edge higher. Okay, so that's something that we could look out for. All right, and that's that Euro-U. So pulling over, let's see the USD CAD. That was something that we were looking at last week. And I mentioned last week that, again, USD CAD was something where I wanted to see markets correct a bit. But as you guys can see, we did actually have a push higher. So this CAD could start pushing, right? This CAD could start edging a little bit higher. On the monthly, that's something that we've been having a pretty deep conversation about in our community. Let me pull this over on the monthly. Again, on the monthly, as you guys can see, we are finally making a candle. Before this was a doji like these past 2 months there, right? And as you guys can see, we're finally getting some price action to the upside. And so it's not too late to execute on a CAD buy if you look at it in a relative perspective of the monthly candle here. Okay, of this monthly time frame. All right, so outside of it, being a massive move on the monthly, you still have a lot of relative upside for this market to come back up into the $30s. And this is if this U.S. strength preludes and if we get some weakness over there on that CAD. So I think we could probably see a continuation here on this U.S. CAD. It'd be nice to see some potential. Not really. I'm not looking for a pullback, but markets maybe consolidate around this area here, and then maybe we get a nice breakout. And then I would love to take the breakout. It'd probably appear pretty well on the 4-hour. So yeah, let's see what happens on this CAD. Pretty massive push higher there over the past couple of trading days, Friday, Thursday. Let's see what happens over there on that CAD. Maybe we can get a continuation there. You're at GBP USD. Take a look over here. GBP USD, again, retest back on the structure, crack back down. That was a little bit of that U.S. strength that came in. GBP USD, same situation, folks, that I said last week, actually, where we were sitting right here at the base. This is our last week price action here. This is a daily, and as you guys can see, not much. Not much. So this GBP USD definitely has some potential to start edging higher and going back up into this price area, maybe up into the 34.70s. Okay, I'll get a little bit more precise on the webinar that we have tonight, folks, but that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So I definitely think this could be cleared easily. This 33 here and this price structure there. Honestly, if I see a break outside of 32 lows, so 32 teens, man, I could definitely see this market start edging back up higher into these structures there. And this is another story for U.S. Weakness, right? So, you have your contingencies. You have your contingencies. U.S. CAD looks good buy side. GBP USD looks good buy side. I wouldn't have the same position on. Unless I'm just really getting some very, very weak news over there on the CAD, or some just horrible news over here on the US dollar. I like pound long, I like US dollar long, but I do like the structure here on the pound a little bit better, and I'm really anticipating a little bit more pound strength than the US dollar in the next couple of weeks, right? I need the US dollar to come out with some stuff, some juice, so this market can actually do what it needs to do, and we break that 23.6 on that dollar index. So this is what we're looking like here on this GBPU. Still hanging around this 23.6. As you guys can see, markets are formed, and fairly there is a solid structure down here at the $30s. There's a potential there. But the bias is long. Maybe we'll get some new price structure coming out this week to give us an idea as to where things can go. But overall, as you guys can see, it's pretty ugly in terms of consolidation down here. If we get markets to kind of break down to this level here, 31.30s, then maybe we can start taking markets short. But until then, that's what I got drawn up. All right, so this is basically my structure here. is my structure here. So if we break higher, I would like to go long. If we can pull all the way back down and break lower outside of this zone, you might have a short opportunity. You might be able to catch that U.S. strength. So let's keep an eye on that there. GBP AUD, just to show you guys what that looked like last week. This was the price structure we had drawn up, right? So I was hoping for markets to pull back outside of this level here. And as you guys can see, we did range down and hit off on that 50% level, but we just surged right back up into that structure. So I'm not expecting this GBP AUD to, I'm not expecting too much of a continuation here. Maybe this was just a minor pullback. As you guys can see, there was somewhat of an extension down, and we just got a fairly substantial pullback. So let's see how markets react around this level to see if there's some kind of correction that comes on in, and let's see if that correction can sustain, because we might have ourselves another entry. Okay, so that's that GBP AUD. So really what we're looking for here, folks, is something that's very technically based, right? And I'm really liking Euro more than anything. I would like to see a situation where markets consolidate within this zone here, and if they can consolidate within this zone here, you might be able to pull a buy side scenario back up into structure. If this thing wants to sell off, then I would need to really see this market break outside of this level there and then start to really pull back down, and then maybe we potentially can get an earlier entry at 1720, but you're going to get a very fluid break at 17 flat, because even in the 1720s you have a decent amount of consolidation down there at those lows, right? Just for sake, let's look at this Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar was pouring off a bit. Pouring over a bit here last week, as you guys can notice, and it looks as if it may end up breaking this structure here, which is pretty interesting. Hope you guys can see that there. So right at 78 lows, some 78.20s, we see that the Aussie dollars found some type of structure there, but we've somewhat broken out of it because of last week's price action. That's a Friday candle there. So if we can break outside of this level here, this might be a good situation to take Aussie dollar back down into. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that as well. But other than that, folks, that is it. Let's keep an eye on this Euro-U and see what happens in terms of that price structure. Aussie somewhat has the same price structure, right? I almost mistaked it. But let's keep an eye on that Euro-U, see if we can consolidate down there at those 1760s, 50s, 40s, and then if we can, then we might be able to get a pull back up into structure here. Okay, same thing with the Aussie. Aussie looks a little bit more sell side than this Euro-U does. So we'll keep an eye on that Aussie, see if we can break outside of that structure. And this GBP USD. So I'm looking fairly long. If I look at all the different pairs that I analyze, I'm looking fairly long. I want Euro-U somewhat long in the short term. I like this Aussie-U sell side, but with the GBP-U, I would like that long as well. Okay, and for that USD CAD just broke that structural high, so it looks like we could have a continuation there. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into it on the call tonight. If you're in the top trader community, if you're not, go ahead and head over to motivateFX.com and join along. Other than that, guys, let's see what we get this week. Not so clear this week. This might be a week that we kind of just, pull back in our hands last week of October. Maybe we can start November off strong. If we can make some money this week, then let's freaking do it. But let's let some structure add up a bit. Maybe we'll see where we're at Monday morning, or maybe Tuesday, beginning of the Tuesday session, Monday night. Okay, guys, your profit, always my motive. I'll talk to you guys real soon, please.